So, if I've done this right, then this will be the first recording for the set of videos I'm going to make for teaching you guys how to design behavior trees. Now, before I get into that, the first thing I wanted to talk about is actually the resources that I learned all of this from. So if you do want to read these, which you should, if you want to work on behavior trees, you know what to look for. So first up is the nav2 page. This basically just gives you, they give their own summary of what a behavior tree is, and they give the specifics on how they implement it. So of course you can read this section, and then go ahead and go down to this section, read through all this. I believe there is tutorials for how to make behavior tree stuff, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not. Maybe it's actually in here, or in here, yeah, a new behavior tree plugin and stuff like that. So I'd go ahead and read all these. Go ahead and read through this stuff. Go on GitHub, check out the README, stuff like that. That shouldn't take you too long. I think it took me like a day. And then the other thing I looked at was this. This I only looked at recently, to be honest. So for those of you who aren't aware, if we go back up here, so the behavior trees used by Nav2, they don't actually design them from scratch. They are using this behavior tree library made by these people. So, and they have their own sort of docs and tutorials. So if you want to learn about how the behavior trees themselves are actually implemented and how to interact with them, I would read through this. What Nav2 does is takes this library and then creates their own custom set of Nav2 nodes, and then they also create behavior tree navigators. So behavior tree navigators aren't actually part of this library. This only gives you the nodes. The navigators are something that comes with Nav2 that they've designed. So yeah, it depends on what you're interested in. I would start here and then go into here once you've got a good idea of what behavior tree nodes are and you want to learn more about it. Reading through all of this should only take like 2 hours roughly. I would say all of it is quite useful. I'll come back to this later. There is some stuff I want to point out here specifically with this stuff, but I'll come back to it. And the final resource I wanted to point out is this book. I believe I've already pointed this out on several occasions. It's quite long. You don't need to read all of it. A lot of the middle section is stuff like mathematical proofs and theorems of like the efficiency of behavior trees and stuff. You don't really need to concern yourself with that. But what I do find very useful, if I can find the index, okay, here we go. So I believe, yeah, the first three chapters are quite useful. I would recommend reading the first three. I believe there's a post in auto planning and in autonomous where I break down which chapters you should read, like which ones are the most important and what they actually tell you. If people can't find that message, let me know and I'll repost it. But yeah, you can go ahead and follow that as a guide. But yeah, this book's great. And that's sort of all the resources I wanted to walk through. But before we go into designing the behavior tree, there is one other thing I wanted to cover, which was why we use behavior trees. I didn't learn this until later on, and personally, I feel like if I knew this from the start, I would have had an easier time picking up behavior trees, because for me, one of the biggest issues, I guess, was trying to understand and like wrap my head around why we had to design the autonomous decision making using this structure. So the book, the first chapter of the book is dedicated to answering this question. I'm not going to go over the specifics. You can read this chapter on your own. But the main key points are, well, the number one point as to why we use behavior trees is because Nav2 uses behavior trees. So we don't really have a choice. So if you want to understand why we use behavior trees, read this and read the first chapter. But the main reasons are they're really easy to edit, they're reusable, so you can create a node and then use it elsewhere. You can create a subtree and then use it elsewhere. And yeah, and the modular. Cool. So that's sort of the resources and why we use behavior trees. And now I'm going to cut to. Oh, right. Okay, before and yeah, I keep saying one last thing before we design behavior trees. The last thing before we design behavior trees is I'm going to give a very brief explanation of how they work. Basically, can I quickly find a behavior tree? Okay, this is one. So behavior trees, all you need to know for now is that all the control logic is stored in these nodes. Each node can have, 0 or many children, depending on the type of node. And each leaf node, or actually, yeah, every single node, sorry, can return one of 3 states: failure, running, success. And that's all you have to know for now. And we'll go more into the specifics of what each node does, like as we design it and as we come across the nodes.